It's never a waste of time to make time for the truth. A moment spent listening and paying attention to the truth can change your life. So let's take a moment for the truth. Psalms 119:79 says, "May those who fear you turn to me, and those who know your testimonies." Navigation is tricky and even overwhelming to the non-observant. In the daytime, we have the sun to guide us directionally. And then in the night, it's a bit more tricky and challenging, but in either case, there are things to know and understand that provide directional guidance. Now, the previous verse from today's provides a context and guidance for today's verse. The writer had requested that God shame the arrogant liars who led him and others astray. The self-referencing liars lie, trick, and deceive. The obvious need for truth and true direction is in today's verse. In today's verse, the writer is making a request from God. And the request concerns those who know and fear God. As it says, those who fear you, who know your testimonies. This is the family of God. They fear God, and therefore they have the ability to understand. They know the character of God as revealed in the testimony of Scripture and also in His work in their lives. Now, why do you suppose the writer is making a request for this group? Well, in the context, it would seem that the writer doesn't want them to fall for the lies that led him astray. He cares for their well-being and for their protection. The possibility is somewhat stated in the verb in there. It says turn. This could easily be translated turn back. It's the idea of turning or even retreating from a certain direction. Perhaps they had begun to listen to the lies being spoken about him. Or maybe these lies had begun to form into their opinions about him. Whichever the case, he asked the Lord to have them turn. Now, it's also interesting that he uses himself as a direction for their turning. Throughout this section, the writer has made it clear that he would wait on the Lord in verse 74, that he delights in God's law in verse 77, and that he meditates on God's precepts in verse 78. Now, at first glance, it might seem as if the writer is trying to call attention to himself as a reference point. But it's more likely that he wants these family members to cease believing the lies and observe the witness of his life as one seeking and following the ways of God. I've always had it in my mind that the best lessons are learned from the mistakes of others. This is why we teach our children and why God has revealed his ways in his word. Remember the words in Matthew 5. In verse 5, Jesus said, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden." But Jesus ends that thought in verse 16 where he says, "Let your light shine before men in such a way that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven." We are to provide witness to the Lord who guides and directs our life. He alone provides a real, true reference for life. Let God's light shine in your life and through your life. It only takes a moment, but it will be a moment for you and for others that matters. Thanks for watching and listening to Truth Matters Moment. Also, don't forget to look for our weekly podcast called Truth Matters. It comes out every Wednesday. Catch you later.